Good afternoon, Sheddies, and welcome to this beginner's video for Yin Yoga. My name's Manda, and my business is called the Head Shed Retreat.co.uk. So I've already filmed a beginner's Yang class, and now this is a Yin class. So just to repeat, if this is the first one you've looked at, so this is yoga. We say we're going to yoga. Yoga is a big umbrella term. So we could be a yogi if we meditate, if we live by the yoga way, the yamas and the niyamas, if we do breathing exercises, if we meditate, or if we do these postures. We are a yogi practicing yoga. Now, we often say we're going to yoga, but we're not actually going to yoga, we're going to asana. So asana is the name, that is the physical practice of yoga, okay? And that physical practice of yoga could be based on an Indian philosophy or a Chinese philosophy. So we've got Yang, which is very Indian philosophy, and then we've got Yin, which is very Chinese philosophy. One is warm and one is cool, and when we are like this, we are thinking very much balance. So the left side is cool, balance, the right side is warm. And we've got feminine and we've got masculine. So we could say that the hot side of yoga is very masculine and the cool side of yoga is very feminine. Yin is very soft. Yang is more physical. So it's nice to do a bit of yin and a bit of yang, but we need to know that yin is not entirely yin, so there will be a little bit of yang in yin, and there'll be a little bit of yin in yang. Just like life, really, just mixing it all up. So this yin practice is cool, and I remember going to my first yin practice and actually being quite cross, being an aerobics instructor in the 90s. I was really quite cross because I thought, well, you haven't warmed up, and you should always warm the body up. Now, in a yin practice, you don't need to warm the body up. And the reason being is because we don't use muscle. We go past the muscle and we go deeper into the body. So in a yin practice, we're aiming to be still, hold postures for maybe 2 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. And we're looking to get deeper into the body, so into the joints, the bones, the ligaments, the tendons, and the fascia. So the fascia is also called connective tissue. And if you can imagine honeycomb all around your body, through your organs, around every single part of your body, that is your fascia or connective tissue. It has very little blood supply and it can be tight, it can be really, really tight. Now if you can imagine being tight, you would be rounded, you'd be tight, and you can't move, you can't open up, you can't do these things. So a yin practice helps us to elongate and open, and if we elongate and open this fascia or connective tissue, then it helps us with our range of movement, it helps us feel younger, and it helps us feel refreshed. So that's what we get from a yin practice. Now, if you see a yin practice, maybe you watch this, you're not actually going to do it, maybe you just want to watch it, and it looks really, really easy. A yin practice is about finding shapes, any shape. If you sit on the floor, any shape you make will be a yin posture. What we're aiming to do is to make shapes that we wouldn't normally make in everyday life. And the reason we want to make the shapes is because we get into habits of patterns. So in a day, we may sit at the breakfast table, have breakfast. Then we may sit in the car and go to work. Then we may sit at the desk when we get to work. We come home, we sit at the dining table, and then we sit on the sofa. So therefore, we've made the same shape over and over and over again. You do that over weeks and months and years, and your body is going to stop making any other shape, and that can be called old age and feeling creaky and not very nice. So a yin practice is a beautiful, soft way of opening up the body and making us feel younger and having our range of movement bigger. So it just feels fabulous. So We don't need to warm up in this practice. What I like to do is as a teacher, I like to share the more yang, yin postures first, because they're a little bit more physical. And then I like to go dreamier and dreamier until we come into a posture that is just blah, and we just completely let go. There are many, many postures in yin, and most of them are named after animals, which is really nice. Now this posture, we're sitting here like this. Now you may not be able to sit like this. You may have had injuries to your knees and you just can't do it, or maybe you found this pattern of sitting for too many years and so you can no longer do this. But one thing's for sure, unless you were born with something that stopped you being able to do this, or you've had an injury to stop you doing this, then it would be fair to say that as a young child you could sit like this. Okay. Now I've had people that have practiced with me, and over time they've been able to sit like this when originally they couldn't. Try and sit like this, see how it feels. If it doesn't feel good, you could sit on 2 blocks, so you could bring 2 blocks underneath you and sit on them, and then it makes this gap bigger. Just see how that feels. Keep lifting, lifting, lifting yourself up until you take this bend out and see how that feels. If you don't like that at all, sit cross-legged. Just do what feels good for you. But know that when we're sitting like this, we've got full flexion of the knee here, and we're stretching the tops of our feet. So that is one position that we don't do that much. So from here, my own little thing that I like to invite people to do is put one hand on top of the other. So intuitively, just put one hand on top of the other. And that feels nice, doesn't it? Doesn't that feel nice? Then I ask you to take the bottom hand and put the bottom hand on the top hand. And that feels strange. It feels like you're holding someone else's hand, but you're holding your own. Now, I'm also a qualified life coach, and what I've shared with others through this is by putting that hand, that uninhabited hand, onto the top that now feels like a different person, I now like you to consider that this is your shadow. This is your personality that you keep very, very personal and quiet to yourself. It includes your monkey mind. And I'm asking you, or suggesting, that you bring this person to your mat. And if you can bring that vulnerable, that person that you don't share with other people, if you can bring that person to your mat, you will get so much more from your practice. A lot of a yin practice is about letting go, so surrendering. So when we say surrender, we don't mean give in, we more mean go in, so go inside. So getting inside deep into the body, into the layers of the body, past the physical part of our bodies. Okay, so enough of that anyway. So let's come into one of our poses. So let's come in to a dragon pose. So let's take the right leg forwards and then just tip forwards like this and just see how you feel in this pose. Now, I'm just going to get some blocks because quite often, especially if you've got short arms like me actually, you can't reach the floor very well. Sometimes you want to tuck your toes at the back. That grates my knee and I don't particularly like it very much, so I always let go through there. But here, we're just getting very deep into the body here as we're elongating down the side of the body. Feels very, very nice. We're also working the back body on the right leg, the front body on the left leg. So we can just stay here and just be in the moment. So a yin practice is about just being still, just being. And the challenge is to just be. So if you are a red personality, or a pitta type, or an A type, then yin is going to be really quite tough for you because you're going to be a natural fidget and it's not going to be easy for you to do nothing. Now we've just been in this posture just 4 seconds really, and I can already feel it, so my guess is that you can already feel this. So the front body on the left leg or back body on the right leg, we can feel this. For some people you won't be able to feel anything, and if you're that person, you can bring the blocks to the inside and maybe come down onto your forearms. Now, you might want to have a go. If you try and bring your forearms down and you get a snag, or it feels like something's going to tear, or something just hurts, you back straight off. You come back up to here. What we're aiming to do is be like Goldilocks. We want to do enough, but we don't want to do too much. We just want to tap on the edge of our comfort zone. So just like Goldilocks, not too much, not too little, but just right. And then when we find that place, we just want to relax. So here we might want to think about what our hands are doing, what our feet are doing. And then bringing ourselves back to our breath. So bringing our attention to our breath is the best way to be calm and to connect with our parasympathetic nervous system. So our parasympathetic nervous system allows us to be calm, find joy, be in the moment, and lowers our blood pressure, reduces our heart rate, and it gives us a memory bank of peace. So if we can create a memory bank of peace, then we can come back to a peaceful situation quicker in our lives. Now, before I talk anymore, I'm going to come out of this. Now, you'll feel this, so you're going to come out ever so slowly, and you'll probably feel it more on this back leg. So come all the way out. Maybe you want to press back into a child's pose. You may want to groan here. You might go, oh yeah, I can really feel that. Maybe you want to bring your head down. Maybe your head doesn't come down to the mat. Maybe you want to put your head on a block. And take some nice deep breaths. Maybe you want to breathe in and then open your mouth and then just let go. Just let go of anything. Just let go of anything that happened today, yesterday, this week, this month. And as you let go, it just feels so nice. So we'll come to the other side. And then we're going to take this leg. Maybe you want to get hold of your ankle and take it forwards. We're aiming to maybe square off our hips before we tip forwards. Now, a little safety point for here. Make sure your knee is in line with your ankle here. It's not to say it's wrong to take your foot back, but if you're bringing your foot all the way back, you will stretch more into the back of your leg here. But you'll also have a pointy knee. So anytime you have a pointy knee, you might be putting a lot of pressure on the knee. So I like to think that I'm very knee friendly. I'm 57, I want my knees to last me a long time. So I'm very conscious that I don't put too much pressure on these knees, and a good way to do that is make sure they're in line with your ankle. So again, we're stretching the back body here, and we're stretching the front body on the other side, and we're aiming, even though I'm talking, I'd like you to aim for some stillness. Maybe breathing, bringing your attention to your breath. Maybe you want to close your eyes. We can think of any of our senses to help us relax in yin posture. So we can think about what we're feeling, what we're touching. We can put our attention on sound, what we can hear. It's a good way to start going into a very meditative state. Picking one of our senses. So I've come down onto these blocks and I feel okay here, and I feel like I could be here for some time. If you have come down and you get a tear, a sting or anything, it doesn't feel good, which is my guess probably doesn't if you're not used to this, then come back up. And aim to relax through your mind, relax through your body. Allow your body to get past fight or flight, and allow your body to settle in a posture. If this hurts, if it should be mild discomfort, definitely is discomfort, but there should be no pain, and if there is any pain, you come out of it straight away. So we bring our attention back to our breath, and our shoulders and arms are working in this posture, hence why this is not completely in, so it's got a bit of yang in there because obviously the arms are having to work to hold my body up here. So now you can probably feel this deeper. You can feel the longer you hold these poses, the deeper they go into the body, even though we're not moving deeper into the pose. So let's just breathe a couple of times, nice big deep breaths in. And then we're going to come out like a 95-year-old. So we're going to bend back. You're allowed to groan. You can take your leg all the way to the back. And then let's press back into a child's pose, which should feel really, really nice. Okay. So from here, let's come into a frog pose. Now, I love a frog pose. So here, we want to be taking our knees wider. And for most people, it works really well if we bring our big toes together. What we're looking for is to get into the insides of the legs. So we're stretching the fascia, the connective tissue inside the legs. And we can come down onto our mat. So most people, I've found, can touch their toes and open up through the legs and feel a stretch and elongation on the insides of the legs. Be in this position and hold and commit to just being still and feeling your body. So I like to be physical first, feel my body, feel where I am in my body, then come to my breath and then go dreamy and allow myself to go deeper and deeper into my body. Now, everyone I've known in this pose has been able to do this pose like this with their toes together. Now, some people won't be able to feel anything. They'll be in this pose and they can't feel anything down the insides of the legs, and you may be that person. So if there are 10 in a class, then 3 won't be able to feel anything. So if you're that person, the bottom part of this leg here, take it in line with the outside of the mat. So outside of the mat, and then bring your pelvis back again. And just see how that feels. So if this doesn't suit you, you'll get a stingy feeling in your hip and you won't like it at all, in which case reverse and bring your toe mounds back together again, and that means that is the perfect place for you. So again, in a class of 10, I would say 3 people can probably bring their legs out like this, and this feels nice. Now you can be upright like this, or you can make your way as low to the floor as you want. So stretching out through the arms, just seeing how you feel. And again, surrendering, letting go. Bringing your attention to your breath. So I'm just demonstrating today what can happen in a Yin class with this kind of posture. In a class of 10, 3 may feel this like this. 1 may be able to flex their feet out to the side and then come into this. Now I am not that one, so as soon as I flex my feet, I can feel this, it hurts in my hips. So we don't want to do that. So for me, I'm going to bring my toes back under, but I can keep my legs wide. And nothing is right or wrong, or nothing is wrong, I should say. Nothing is wrong, you just find the one that's right for you. So when I say nothing is right or wrong, what I mean is, it's not that it's right, of course it's right, but we don't let the ego get in the way. And so many times in the Western world, we let our ego, we want to go to the utmost that we can. But in yoga, we don't. It's called ahimsa, non-harming. And we aim not to harm others, but we aim not to harm ourselves. And so part of ahimsa is to take the ego away and just be where we want to be. So we've been in this position for quite a while now. You should be able to feel that. So we're going to come all the way up, and here we're going to lie down on our back and absolutely nothing. So bringing the legs down and bringing the arms and then coming all the way down to our mats. And then just doing nothing for a moment. And it's really important to do this nothing. It's really important to feel the energy whizzing around. It resets us. It's a real reset pose to do nothing. I can feel the tingling down my legs, past my knees, all the way down to my ankles, and it feels very, very nice. Now, different people are different, so I can always feel when my body wants to move, and it's going to be different for me than it is for you. So we just, as a teacher, we just assume that now's the right time. But it's also a good thing for you to really feel this in your own body. Feel that energy whizzing around and just recognise when it feels good to literally move. So I'm going to ask you to bring one knee in and then the other knee in. And then maybe squeeze your head up towards your knees and your knees towards your head. And here we're lifting up through the bottom of the spine off the floor. So we've got some fused vertebrae here, but we're lifting them. We're actually making a shape with this. It feels very, very nice. And then maybe you'd like to lift up through your legs. Bring your hands underneath your bottom. So if you've got short hamstrings, your legs will be bent, and that's absolutely fine. And some of you will be able to straighten your legs, but there's no right or wrong. We're going to lower through the legs and just allow that to sit us up. Nice. Now, I'm going to mention a bolster. So, I think a bolster's lovely. I think of my bolster as my friend. It's just a really, really nice thing to have. You can use a bolster in different ways, but it's just so nice to just hug something. And it really aids in a yin practice. So the next pose that we're just going to come into 3 different poses today, just to demonstrate 3 different things. But this pose is called caterpillar, and we literally just flop forwards. Now, our hips are here. We could have our legs together, or we could take them slightly apart to be in line with our hip insertion. And we're literally just going to bend over forwards. So here, we could use our what do we call this? A bolster. So here we can use our bolster, and we can literally flop down onto our bolster and give it a good hug. Now actually, this is actually already quite a long way down. So if you're a complete beginner, you may not even be able to reach your bolster. Okay. So there are other things that you can do. You can pick your bolster up and you can place it. This looks really funny, but we're aiming to find shapes to flop, and we need to switch muscle off. So it's really important that we do things to be able to do that. And this is aiding that. So we can literally just put our forehead on here and just flop. So there's no flat backs in yin. We're just aiming to flop and flop through our feet and just switch everything off. So if you're a beginner to yin, often I see people, they're very frustrated because they don't have much of a forward fold. The reason there's a lot of forward folding, and actually this is a real signature pose for Yin Yoga, caterpillar pose. And in Yang Yoga, the other form of yoga, this is called Paschimottanasana. It's a forward fold. And in its roots, it was the fold that we were in when we were in utero. So we were literally folded over in our mothers. And we lost that ability to fold forward because we stopped folding forward. That's all it was. We stopped, so we became tighter and tighter and tighter. So over weeks, months, years, we can aim to start to undo this forward fold. But it's really important that we just are where we are. Now, the philosophy of Yin, so you stay where you are and I'll talk to you. The philosophy of Yin, according to Paul Greasley and Sarah Powers, so they were the modern founders of Yin Yoga. But the way they explained it, which I think is an excellent way of explaining it, is that if you go to the dentist and say your teeth are not in a position that you want them to be in, and your dentist puts on a brace, the dentist doesn't just push your teeth where the dentist wants it, because they can't, because it's bone and bone won't move. But if they put a brace on and then tighten the brace up over months or a year, then the tooth gradually moves, and it's exactly the same in a yin posture. Because we're getting very deep into the body, we're getting into the bones, the joints, the ligaments, the tendons, very little blood supply. If we hold these postures for periods of time, over days, weeks, months, years, we move, we actually move, just like the dentist. So I think that's just a brilliant way of explaining. But when we first come to yoga and yin yoga, I see people very frustrated. They're in this position, but maybe stuck all the way up here and just can't relax because they're seeing the next person with their head on their knees. But it really doesn't matter. It's about being the best version of you, but being in the shape that's absolutely fine. There is no competition in yoga. There's just you, where you are today and how you feel today. So if you can be mindful about where your body is and accept where your body is and relax into that, then you can relax through your body, invite your parasympathetic nervous system, your blood pressure goes down, your heart rate goes down. This is very, very much connected to the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve travels from the heart and all the way to the brain. And a nice way, I was reading about this, that the vagus nerve has 4 different branches, main branches, or 4 branches that come off the heart. And it's like a tree. So these 4 things are like a tree that come off, and it's like your internal tree in your life. And a yoga practice is often seen as a tree. The 8 limbs of yoga is often seen as a tree. So how nice to think that the vagus nerve is attached from the heart all the way to the brain, like a branch on a tree. We very, very much connect to our heart in a yoga practice, aiming to be very vulnerable and open and peaceful and joyous and honest. I think that's probably the word I'm looking for, honesty, having an honest practice, moving the ego, allowing your body to just be where it wants to be in that day. That's very honest. Yeah, I like that. So your head could be here, you could be here, you could be hugging your bolster. And this is called caterpillar pose. Your spine is rounded, there's no flat spine here, and we're inviting the spine to open up through the vertebrae. So I'm rounding through. So not to be confused with necessarily slouching, although slouching does open up through the spine. We're actually finding shapes that we wouldn't normally make, and this is further than a slouch. If I was to slouch in a chair, I wouldn't slouch this much. So it's the same with looking downwards. We look down to look at our phone rather a lot, but we maybe don't look down that far. I wouldn't be able to see my phone. But if we look down this far, then we're creating a different shape to what we would normally do. And that's what we're aiming to do, to create the different shapes to what we normally would. So we've stayed in this position for quite a while now, so it's really important again to lie down again. So hands come forward, chin towards the chest. And I like to ask or suggest that we roll down onto the mats and again do absolutely nothing. So our reset pose. Again, we can feel the chi, so it's called the chi, the energy. In a Indian philosophy, the energy is called prana. In a Chinese philosophy, it's called chi. But if you think of them as both the same, there's a slight difference, but just think of them as the same. So there's lots of things that we can do. There are many, many poses. But I'm going to share with you in this beginner's class is a twist. So we have 6 movements of the spine that we want to work on, and these are 2 of them, so twisting. So let's bring the knees up towards the chest, and then literally let's drop to one side. So we're going to drop down to the left first. So in a lot of yoga postures we drop down to the right, but in a twist it's quite nice to drop down to the left first. And the reason being, we're thinking of the intestines. So if we drop down to the left first, then we open up through the right side of the intestines. So the intestines go up, along, and then down before whatever needs to come out comes out. So we hear a lot of people saying that they have tummy trouble, they have digestive problems, they have bowel problems. And after practicing yoga, they feel better. So if you get used to twisting to the left before the right, then it opens up through your bowel, which is really quite clever. In this pose, we're also twisting through the spine, which feels absolutely gorgeous. And without twisting, I can't think of many times in everyday life that we would create a twist. And again, that's what we're doing. We're creating patterns that we wouldn't normally make. Now you can twist and you can have your hands here on your belly, or you can make it more demanding by taking your arms out to the side, or maybe more demanding still by coming into what I call goddess, or what many people call goddess pose, where we bend through the elbows. And maybe for some people it might feel good if you bring your arms straight above you. Now I broke my arm in 3 places in a ski accident on my left side, so this arm still won't go flat to the floor. I'm working on it, and hopefully coming back to my yin practice over months and years, that may just come down. Or I may be done. I just may be done, that may be it. But it's all about accepting where we are. Feels nice. So we're aiming to soften, aiming to come to our breath, and just being very, very aware of what we're doing. Sometimes it's nice to take yourself onto the ceiling. Imagine you're looking down on your body and the shape that you're making. It's like seeing your body rather than being in your body, you're seeing it. And then when you come back into your body, you sort of feel it more deeply, and that feels nice. It's like, oh wow, yeah, I like that feeling. So this top leg, you could take it further over, you could straighten your leg. There are many things that you can do, but it's about finding that shape for you and then holding it and doing absolutely nothing. So we could hold this pose for a minute, we could hold it for 2 minutes, you could hold it for 5 minutes, and the longer you hold it, the deeper and deeper your body will go. And maybe you can come to a state where you feel dreamy, your eyelids feel dreamy. Maybe you want to close your eyes. And this mustn't be confused with doing nothing. Your body is being exercised, it's being elongated, it's being stretched. And that will help you feel invigorated and alive and full of chi. So let's just give this a go on the other side. So let's inhale here, lift the arms up, bring the arms down, and then bring the knees in, and then maybe slowly take the knees down to the other side, ever so slowly. Take a deep breath here and then exhale out. And maybe you want to bring your arms straight out. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to just concentrate on your spine twisting. Maybe taking your arm out, or maybe coming into this goddess pose. If you turn your head the opposite way of your knee, then you'll be twisting through the whole of the body. So imagine that honeycomb again through your body. And here you just do nothing. You're doing absolutely nothing. And again, if you're that red type, if you're that pitta, red personality, A type, then it's a challenge. It's a challenge to do nothing. And can you get used to it? Can you separate your busy day, but give yourself this time? Because if you are that person that finds this really frustrating, then the more frustrating you find this, the more you need it. Okay? And that's a bit of a punch on the chin, isn't it? It's like when we're in a way of being, we believe that way of being is the right way. So if we're a red type, then we believe that harder, faster, stronger is clearly good. But then when we're told that actually there's another side, there's a different side that's soft and gentle, and we have to hold postures for a while and do absolutely nothing, it can send us into a bit of a spin because it's not our natural and normal way of being. So that's where the challenge is. Whereas somebody who was naturally very good at being still and being in a yin posture might find yang, a very physical form, difficult. But for the Western world, we imagine that the yang is the difficult one and this is the easy one. But no, this is difficult for an A type. Very, very difficult. And don't forget, it teaches us patience. And quite often, A types don't have much patience. So there's some food for thought. Let's bring the legs back up and then maybe hold on to the knees and just, oh, that feels nice. And maybe just rock from side to side on your lower back. Beautiful. So there might be lots and lots of different, well, there will be lots of different poses. One pose that I do often like to use to finish a class is called a happy baby pose. So we literally take the legs wider, and maybe you can hold on to the backs of the legs and that's all, and that's fine. And just do that and just feel playful and nice. And maybe you can get your two fingers and take your fingers around your big toes and then bring your legs in. So you'll feel this on the inside of the legs again, maybe the hamstrings. Just feel so playful and nice. Knowing that one day you did this when you were a baby. You definitely did this at some point. And it just feels lovely. And maybe you want to hold on to the outsides of your feet, and that can feel nice as well. I think we forget our feet so much. They do all that walking for us, and we just don't give our feet the appreciation. So maybe you want to get your thumb and just rub your toes a bit, feel nice. And then let's come to the end of this demonstration. So we'll just take one leg down, then the other leg down, and just lie and do nothing. And this is our Shavasana pose. So we have Shavasana both in yin and yang practices, and it's where we do nothing. So Shavasana is our, it's Sanskrit for corpse pose, which doesn't sound too great, does it? But the idea is that we are so relaxed and we're so open to life and to living, and knowing that life and living has its ups and downs, knowing that life and living, that one day will come to an end. And if we're that peaceful in our life, then we will continue to be peaceful through our life until our life is coming to an end. So corpse pose is named after being very, very still. But I also believe that it's also an acceptance of life and the journey of life, and that includes the end of life. So it's nice, it's deep, but it's nice. It's just be soft, be gentle, be nice. Let's appreciate our lives. Let's be grateful for where we are, what we have, what we do. We feel energized now through those shapes, just those three different shapes. We feel energized through our body. We've stretched this fascia, this connective tissue that doesn't have a big blood supply. How cool is that? Nice. Now in any class, at the end of any class, you can stay long as you want. And I've been known to just fall asleep in Shavasana because it just feels so nice. But to be able to fall asleep, you have to give yourself permission to relax. So don't forget that. You can give yourself permission to relax and do nothing. Now, I ask people to roll over onto their side and just have a conversation about their practice, how they feel in the moment. Maybe something felt good. Just hold on, create this memory of joy and peace. And the more we can create the memory, the more we can come back to that feeling in everyday life. Remember what we do on the mat, we take off the mat. And then maybe we want to come back up. For some people in a yin practice, you want to be cross-legged. It just feels natural to you, you quite like it. For some, you want to be in your yin pose, back like this, which is very traditional. And it can feel nice to get your block, your bolster, should I say, and just straddle your bolster and just sit like this, and that can feel really nice as well. So here, maybe you feel your shoulders, your spine. I remember reading once, we're only as young as our spine is strong and supple. I love that saying. We're only as old as our spine is strong and supple. How cool is that? So just check in with your spine now, how it feels. Maybe it feels longer and elongated. You feel brighter and lighter. Feels very, very nice. So maybe you want to just have a little smile to yourself. Feels good. Maybe bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. So beautiful way of separating the left from the right. Cool with the warm, the feminine with the masculine, the extroversion with the introversion. And then we end our classes by saying Namaste. So you may want to join me, Namaste. And a version of Namaste that I really like is, I show you the light within me and I see the light within you. And how nice. And I think as well, even through COVID and not necessarily wanting to shake people's hands anymore because it's doing the rounds again, instead to Namaste. How nice is that? I see the light in you and I'm showing you the light in me. So beautiful. Thank you for rolling your mat out with me today and spending this time with me, and see how you feel. If you'd like to join me, then there are plenty of classes that you can enjoy, and I'm hoping that you're experiencing this is just like being